There we go. Great. All right, so let's do this. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Dr. Damiana Korka. I'm a certified breathwork facilitator. I'm an acupuncturist and a functional medicine practitioner. And today we're going to get to talk about something that when it comes to your breath, let's just say it's sort of counterintuitive and a little bit different. So, first, I also wanted to say that I announced this webinar like about 48 hours ago, and I think over 80 people sign up, which is amazing. Tells me the topic is really hitting home for some people. Thank you to all of you for showing up live. I know many people, since it was kind of last minute, couldn't, so I really appreciate you being here. And I'm seeing a mix of you here, and some of you I've worked with before, and some of you even took my Buteyko course in the past. And so welcome back. And many of you are brand new, and you're in the right place, and I'm so happy you're here. So if you are here, you're probably dealing with something, maybe, let's say maybe you're feeling anxious too often, maybe you can't fall asleep. I don't know, maybe you wake up at 2 a.m. with your mind racing, and maybe you're breathless during the day, or you've been told you're snoring. I'm assuming that's kind of where some of you are. And if you resonate with that, could you drop a yes in the chat to see if that sounds about right? Nancy says, yes, I see a bunch of yeses. Thank you. I appreciate being honest. So here is what I have learned after years of studying breath work. This is that the solution or the relief was never going to come from trying harder. So what I mean by that, it's not about taking deeper breaths, doing more meditation. What I have found is that the problem was in the breathing itself, but not in a way that anyone has explained to me before until I learned about this method. So this is what we're going to do today. First, I'll explain why your breathing affects your nervous system and your sleep, even though you're probably getting plenty of air. Second, I'll walk you through a simple test to see your current breathing pattern. And then third, I'll show you how to retrain your breathing so it happens automatically. So sounds good? That's my plan. That's what my plan is for you today. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. For some reason, I had to lie down a few minutes ago and just do a little breath work because I could feel my nervous system not being able to really relax. So yeah. Thank you for the heart, Anka. I appreciate that. All right. So here is a question that I ask a lot of my patients and such. Why is your nervous system stuck in high alert mode? And you know what I mean by that. Maybe your heart races over something tiny, or you're lying in bed exhausted, but your body won't let you sleep, or you wake up at 2 a.m. and your brain is running through like an entire to-do list. Or there is this background hum of tension. I experience that sometimes. It's like I don't feel bad, but I don't feel good either. It's just like I feel uneasy in my body and I can't fully relax. And so most of us think that that's stress or trauma or anxiety, or this is the way I'm wired. I hear that all the time. And yes, those things could be true, but there is something else happening really right now in this moment that's keeping your nervous system locked into a fight or flight mode. And most people have no idea that that's what's happening. I remember when I first learned about this, it was pretty amazing. But first, I want you to notice something right now before I tell you about that one thing that's happening. Without changing anything, just notice, how are you breathing? Is it through your nose or through your mouth? And how's your breath moving? Is it high in the chest or low in the belly? And then also notice, how fast are you breathing? Is it like quick and shallow or slow and deep? Most of you probably had to stop and think to notice, right? Because our breathing is so automatic. We're not aware of it. And so maybe you notice you're breathing through your mouth, maybe you're breathing high in the chest, or maybe lower, maybe you're holding your breath. But this is all normal. We all experience these at different times. There is no judgment at all. But the point is, the reason why I wanted to tell you this is that when you're not paying attention to your breathing, which you can't consciously, your brain is actually really paying attention at all times, all day, all night. Your brain monitors every single breath. And there is a cluster of neurons in your brainstem. It's called a Pre-Botzinger complex, was discovered by Stanford researchers in, I think, 2017. And these cells spy on your breathing. They're not controlling it, but they're watching it. And when these cells notice you're breathing faster or hard or through your mouth or sighing a lot or holding your breath or breathing up in your chest, they send a signal that says, be alert, something is off, you're not safe, stay vigilant. And your brain really listens. And so it keeps your nervous system on high alert, and it might keep your cortisol elevated, and it might keep you wired, and it won't let you sleep deeply or fully relax. And just this is not because there is necessarily some actual danger, but because your breathing pattern is telling your brain there is some kind of danger. So it's not that you're anxious and then you start breathing differently, though that can happen actually, is that you're breathing in a certain pattern all day, maybe for years, and that pattern has been telling your brain to keep you anxious. And again, sometimes people tell me like, will I feel short of breath and such? Not necessarily, but that shallower breathing, your brain is picking up on those patterns and reading them as stress signals, really. So let me break down a little bit about what's happening in your body and why it creates this loop that you get stuck on. So this was in the title when you signed up for this. I said I'm going to talk about CO2 and oxygen. So this is where that part is coming. So most people think of carbon dioxide or CO2 as just a waste gas. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out CO2, oxygen good, CO2 bad. And that's only half of the story. And here is what I have learned in the previous years, more recently, is that CO2 is the key that unlocks oxygen delivery to your cells. So I'm going to repeat that. CO2 is the key that unlocks oxygen delivery to your cells. And so CO2 is what tells your brain whether you're safe or not. And now going back to the oxygen piece, your red blood cells carry oxygen through your bloodstream, right? And so the oxygen doesn't just jump off automatically. There is a release mechanism triggered by the CO2, just like what I just explained. And so it has a name. It's called Bohr effect, B-O-H-R. And so when CO2 levels are adequate, oxygen gets released efficiently to your brain, to your heart, to your muscles. But when you overbreathe, it's a little faster, a little harder through your mouth. You blow off too much CO2. And then when CO2 drops, oxygen stays stuck in the hemoglobin and it doesn't get delivered. So you can be breathing tons and tons of air, like really your blood oxygen saturation could be at 98, 99%, but your cells aren't getting what they need. And so what that would feel like, it's like you can't catch your breath. Sometimes you feel like you need more air. You breathe a little harder, a little deeper, a little faster, which then blows off more CO2, which makes the oxygen delivery worse. And then it's like a negative, it's like a vicious cycle, right? And then most of us just don't realize we're in that or what's happening. So let me connect this to anxiety and sleep, for example. So when you overbreathe and blow off too much CO2, your blood becomes slightly alkaline. This is called respiratory alkalosis. And so what happens is when your blood pH shifts to slightly alkaline, even just a little slightly from the normal, like healthy kind of ratio, your brain perceives that as a threat. And of course, your brain's job is always to keep you alive. And so it monitors all vital signs like temperature, blood sugar, pH, CO2 levels. And so when your CO2 drops and the pH shifts alkaline, your brain goes, wait, something is off. We need to stay alert. So it keeps your nervous system in sympathetic mode, in that fight or flight, in high alert. And that's why you can't relax, and why you wake up at 2 a.m. or why your mind races and such. And then not only because you're stressed out by your life, that may be true for some of you, but I feel like what I'm seeing in my practice, in my personal life, it's what's keeping this loop is because the breathing pattern is telling your brain you're not safe. So here is that loop again. So it's like a self-reinforcing loop. You're breathing fast and hard and through your nose. And you might not do all of those, you don't have to do all of those. It could be one and such. And even worse, you could be breathing through your mouth. Then you blow off too much CO2. Then your blood becomes slightly more alkaline. And then your brain perceives this as a threat and keeps your nervous system activated. Then you feel anxious and wired. And then because the oxygen isn't being delivered efficiently, you feel sometimes even breathless, or you sigh often. You feel like you can't really catch your breath properly. And so you try to breathe more, but unfortunately, trying to take in more air, it blows off more CO2, which makes your brain feel again less safe, which keeps you anxious. And so round and round it goes like that. And the worst part is that you might be doing all the right things, like you're doing meditation, maybe you're doing some breath work, you're exercising, sleep hygiene and such. But if your breathing pattern is still triggering this loop, your nervous system can't fully downshift. And so it's like, I like this analogy that is like trying to relax with the fire alarm going off in the background. It's impossible. And so I feel like this is truly one huge missing piece. And I love it because we have control over it. There is something we can do on our own. So question now is like, how do you know if this is happening to you? And so there is a simple test. It gives you a number that shows exactly where your breathing pattern is right now. It's called a control pause, and some call it BOLT test or body oxygen level test. And so this control pause measures your body's current tolerance to CO2. So again, the control pause measures your body's current tolerance to CO2. So if you've been overbreathing for months or years, your body has become sensitized to CO2. And so it thinks even normal levels of CO2 are like a bit dangerous. So it makes you breathe faster, which makes you eliminate the CO2. And so this control pause will show us how sensitive you are or where you're at this moment. So here is how it works. I'm just going to be explaining in here. You don't need to do anything right now. You're going to breathe normally through your nose, just like you are right now. And then at the end of a normal exhale, when your lungs are comfortably empty, you're going to pinch your nose and hold your breath. And you're going to do that until you feel the first definite urge to breathe. And what is the first definite urge to breathe? For some people, it feels like air hunger, like I'd like some air now, or you might feel like a slight tightness in your throat or in your chest, or your diaphragm is starting to contract and have a little spasm, or even just a mental sensation like I need to breathe, this is a bit uncomfortable. So whatever that first signal is, that's your cue to stop. This is not about holding your breath as long as you can. You're not looking for struggle or desperation here. It's that first gentle signal. And you'll know if you did this right, if your first breath when you let go feels calm and controlled, and not gasping. It's just a normal inhale. If you're gulping for air, even just a tiny bit, you've held too long. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Um, I think what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna demonstrate with one or two volunteers directly, and then we're all gonna measure it. Once you kind of get the idea, um, and then we can all measure it, and I'll guide that as well. So right now, the only thing that I need is a brave volunteer. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now because I will need to see that person. Um, who would like to? I would like to measure with someone directly the control pause. This is not, I know it's not a test or anything. It's just, well, it is a test, but it's Nancy. Okay, great, Nancy. Let me see. Ask to unmute. Great. Let me change the view so I can see us or you. Can you hear me, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay, great. I can see you right now. And I will need to grab my cell phone. You have not measured the control pause before, right?
Nobody, this is new to me.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you for offering it. That's very helpful. So everyone else just kind of watch right now. You don't need to do anything. I have my phone here. And so I'll keep time with my stopwatch and I'll walk you through this step by step. So
Because now I don't have the view in front of me, so I'll just listen. Like I don't have the, description of what to do.
no, I'll guide you. You don't need to do anything. Give me one moment to rearrange my screen here. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. You don't need to watch anything. You're just going to have to listen to me. Um, give me 1 second. My whole thing rearranged here. So yeah, just kind of notice your breath. Just kind of breathe in and out. As soon as we put the awareness on the breath, typically we naturally want to take a deeper breath, and that's okay. So I'm just going to allow you to, or give you a little time to just notice how your breath goes in and out through the nose, just gently, normal. Just be present with that. And so what you're going to do at the end of a natural exhale, whenever that is for you, you're going to pinch your nose and hold your breath. When you do that, that's going to be my cue to start the timer. Once you have that first urge to breathe, let go and don't talk for just a few seconds because I want to see how your breath recovers.
Okay.
All right. So take a few seconds and
Okay.
okay. What did you feel?
I felt build up a pressure, and I
Okay.
was a little bit like going in a pool, just that tightness. And
Okay.
then I was conscious of I could go longer, but you said don't act like you're holding your breath.
Yeah. You
Okay.
did great, and that's on
Yeah.
the shorter side, which
Yeah.
partially could be where you're at with your breathing, and partially just being in front of people and doing
Yeah,
this
I was like, okay,
can
I
be
don't
a
get to
little
do this.
nerve-wracking. So my timer says 8 seconds, and I'll explain in a moment the amount of seconds and what it means. But I'm wondering, do you feel like you do, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, does this feel right that there could be some breathing issues or just activated nervous system and such?
It's very fascinating. Been to some breathwork courses. I was trying to look at what it was called. I don't think it had anything to do with this.
Uh-huh.
This summer I went to a couple, but it was like the deep breathing, more like a
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
experience. I came to you actually 3 years ago, and I was
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with sleep apnea, or when I was diagnosed, and I live in Denver, so at altitude, so it's been very much an experience to go through. So I am always looking at this. This is all new to me, so it's very fascinating.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that's why I'd say I definitely feel not the anxiety and all that at night anymore. I used to when I first came to you. Now to me, it's more that in the daytime, sometime I do catch myself with some of those things you said, like taking a
Okay.
deeper breath. That's where I feel like where I'm coming from right now.
Yeah. And that would make sense if you're aware that you even like you can't catch your breath or it doesn't feel right, that your control pause would be on the lower side. Again, I have you at 8 seconds. I suspect you might be a little higher, especially because you definitely did not push it, but not far from there. So thank you. I really appreciate that. All
Yes, you're
right. So
welcome. Thank you.
thank you. So let me reshare my screen so I can share with all of you. Goodness, that is not, I'm trying to switch to everyone. There you all are. And then I'm going to share my screen again. Sometimes it's an adventure working with Zoom. There we go. I hope you all see it now again. Okay. So yeah, so here are the numbers that we're looking at. Nancy here, whether that was 100% accurate or not, she was under 10 seconds or around there. So that typically evolves around a very activated nervous system. And so symptoms are typically affecting people on a daily life. And you mentioned that it does do that. So and this is really common. And some people even have asthma. I don't think, Nancy, you have asthma, but that can be common as well. But with the higher elevation, it just makes it all worse. Now, functional breathing or functional healthy, where your breathing pattern fully supports your nervous system, sleep is more solid, anxiety is minimal, the mind is calm, is above 25 seconds. And that's where the goal is. To get people. And again, this is just a measurement, but it tells us a story. Now, athletes, they try to get it above 40 for athletic performance. So it's pretty amazing when it gets up there. But in order for you to feel good, you don't need to make it that high. So what that means, in essence, that you're going to be able to hold your breath for 25 seconds and barely feel any air hunger, which means that the CO2 sensitivity, like you've corrected the pattern that I've been talking about in the last 25 minutes or so. Now, if you have a 20-25 range, it's pretty good, functional, close to optimal, could use some improvement. If it's 15 to 20 seconds, that's borderline. Some things work, some things really don't. So you might have sleep issues, anxiety, and so on. And so there is place for improvement. And then of course 10 to 15 and under 10, that you could really benefit from this. And there are usually quite a few symptoms around it. So the good news is that most people can go from, I don't know, 10, 12 seconds to 20 seconds plus within like 3-4 weeks of consistent practice. So it's totally possible. So I'm wondering, I think I'm going to do one more person and then we're going to measure it with everyone. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to multi-speaker so I can see. Okay, one more person who would like to measure theirs together with me here. Kathy, please.
I can do it. I am also at high altitude.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Colorado, so a lot of us are here, and some
Yes.
are on the East Coast, West Coast, and so that makes sense. And you've never measured the control pause before? No.
This is totally new to me.
Totally new to you. Great. Okay.
Oh,
so
and I do have like a deviated septum and some structures in there that block my breathing. So I do get hypoxia sometimes at night. Just throw
yeah.
that out there too.
And that only makes it worse. Part of this Buteyko method that I teach is ways to unblock the nose and increase nitric oxide, because if you can't breathe through your nose and such, it just creates that loop as well. But yeah, let's see where you're at. So let me get my timer here, have it ready. Okay, you're just going to breathe in and out naturally. And then again, when you're going to be ready, you're going to pinch your nose, hold your breath, and then that first urge to breathe, you're going to let go, and don't speak for a few seconds until I ask you a question, just to kind of see how your body is right after.
And you start the timer just when you see me?
Yes, correctly. So that's going to be my cue.
Okay.
Sometimes people keep their hand right here, so you feel like you're close, but don't put it in front because I can't tell when you're just holding or pinching. So you could bring the hand up here, but when you do that, make sure it's started.
Okay.
Okay. So I see. What did you feel first? Let me ask you that, and then I'll see what I observed. I'll tell you what I
I felt like I was breathing shallow, just leading up to it, maybe nervousness or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
that felt like it was especially kind of air starved.
Yeah. And I don't know, everyone, if you're watching Kathy, I should have told you to kind of watch her, but like right at the end, you took just a very slight list, like you had to take air in, which tells me you pushed it maybe by 1 or 2 seconds. But then the fact that you're nervous and started in maybe a strange place, I have you here at 11 seconds. So it could be a little shorter, it could be a little longer than that, but it's somewhere around 11 seconds, I would say. So I've kind of explained the range of things. So that kind of makes sense, especially with the nasal issues and all of that. It just perpetuates this CO2 sensitivity and imbalance in the nervous system. So yeah, thank you, Kathy. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna do the same thing. Switch over here. Share my screen with you all again. Share. There it is. Great. All right. I guess let's measure it. Let's do it together, everyone. And obviously, I can't watch each one of you to kind of know if you're doing it correctly, but you get the idea. I think you kind of get the idea, like you don't want to push it too much and such. So grab your phone because you will need a timer. So if you don't have the phone around, please take a moment to grab it. And then open it up to the timer or the stopwatch. I would say the stopwatch feature. And remember the first urge to breathe, it's going to feel like air hunger or tightness or like a kind of like a diaphragm spasm and such. So you will know, really, you will know. So I hope you have all of your timers ready. I'm going to give you just a few more seconds there. Okay. Can you all put it in the chat if most of you or all of you have the timer ready? Just put a yes in the chat if yes, ready, yes. Okay, great. All right. All right. So just sit up straight just as you are right now and shoulder relaxed and just let your breathing settle. Just notice. Just breathe normally through your nose. Normal breath in, breath out. And keep doing that for a few more seconds. And whenever you feel comfortable at the end of an exhale, just a natural exhale, pinch your nose and start the timer. And don't look at the timer until you're done. And when you feel the urge to breathe, then look at the timer and stop it. I'll be quiet for a minute while you do this. Now, if you could, if you don't mind sharing, could you place the number in the chat so I have an idea where all are? Let me go to the chat here. Carolyn at 17, that's great. Steve 24, nice. Nancy 23. Bonnie 15. Nate at 20. Tony at 13.5. Anka at 8 seconds. Dawn 12. Kathleen 17. Betty at 20. Kathy at 11. Robin at 12. Cassie at 17. Kathleen 18. Sandra 17. Mary knows 23.26. Frances 13. Hillary 26. Oh, Carolyn, you say you're 74 years old. Yeah. Jennifer 11. Okay, so we have a full range, as you can see, from I think Steve got like 24, and that's almost into that functional range. And Steve, are you okay with me sharing that you've worked with this? Do you want to share a little bit how you got there? Because you're almost there.
Yeah, I've been doing that breathe light with breath holds.
Yeah.
So it's basically like 4 minutes of breathe light.
Yeah.
And try to hold as long as I can. Then just go back to doing that 4 times. Well, 3 breath holds, and then there's 4-minute segments there. So the last 4 minutes is kind of a wind down.
Yeah, nice. And just a little background, if I remember correctly, you've learned about the Buteyko method sometimes maybe before the pandemic or during the pandemic, and then more recently we've worked together and you just kept increasing it gradually. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, I appreciate that. Even if you're like in the 20s, if you're still finding that you have the upper chest breathing, there is rooms for improvement. But you saw the range, you have it on the screen here, what it all means. So for all of you who are like under 20 seconds, your breathing pattern is, you could say that is actively triggering your nervous system. And that's at least part of why you feel anxious or you don't sleep, or why your mind races and you can't put words in it. And so you can't fix this by trying to breathe differently when you remember to, because you can't consciously control your breathing 24/7. So then the solution is like, how can we retrain your breathing so it becomes automatic? The new way of breathing becomes automatic. And so there we are. So we're gonna, so again, everything I've talked about today is based on the Buteyko Breathwork method. This method was invented in the 50s, I believe, by an Ukrainian doctor. His name was Konstantin Buteyko. And this method is based on one simple principle, and that is gentle and brief exposure to air hunger. And in essence, that's it. That's the mechanism. So we're not like suffocating or making you hold the breath until you feel desperate. We're just letting CO2 rise slightly above your current comfort level for short periods of time in a safe, controlled way. And so when you do this consistently, a little every day, your chemoreceptors adapt. The CO2 chemoreceptors adapt. And they learn that slightly higher CO2 isn't dangerous. And they recalibrate and they reset. And when they reset, your automatic breathing pattern changes. And then you naturally breathe slower and deeper without having to force it. You naturally breathe less air, actually, but the oxygen delivery is much, much better. And so, and then also, this is part of this method is naturally breathing through the nose only. And this is not because you're trying to, but because your body now knows a different baseline. And so there are different Buteyko exercises or practices, but we always start with the same foundational practice. It's called breathing recovery. Also, you can call it many small breath holds because that's what it is in essence, many small breath holds. And this is where everyone begins, no matter where the control pause is. This is because it's gentle, it creates just enough air hunger to start retraining, and it's not overwhelming. And it works immediately. I would say not permanently. You need consistent practice for lasting change, but you'll feel a shift right away. So I'm going to teach this one right now. We're going to do it together live. And let me see. So I want you to notice how you feel before we start and how you feel after. And the breathing recovery, this is how it works. You're going to take a normal breath in through your nose, in and out through your nose, just like you've been doing. And at the end of an exhale, you're going to pinch your nose and hold for 5 seconds. And then you let go and breathe normally through your nose for about 10 seconds. Now, I'm going to make that a little longer just because leading a group is not as straightforward with doing it with one person. And the reason why I'm going to make it a little longer than 10 seconds is because when we hit the 10 seconds, you're not all going to magically arrive at an exhale. So I'm just going to give you a little leeway. And if I start counting to 5 and you haven't started it or you have started yet, just about 5 seconds. Just kind of follow along with me, but doesn't have to be exact. Just the idea is we're going to pinch your nose, hold your breath for about 5 seconds. We're going to take a break, breathe through the nose gently and calmly for about 10, 12, 13 seconds. So this is not like the control pause where you're waiting for the first urge to breathe. This is just short. It's just 5 seconds, well before any significant air hunger builds for most, if not all of you. And then after that, you breathe normally, no gasping, no hyperventilating, just calm, regular breathing through your nose. And we're going to do that for a couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes or so. So we'll do a few repetitions. And so this will like gently, gradually increase CO2 without stressing you out. And so your chemoreceptors experience slightly elevated CO2 and learn like, oh, this is okay, this is safe, I don't need to panic. So before we start, I'd ask you this a little earlier, like just notice, see how you feel in your body right now. Feel your feet on the ground. Just notice your breathing. See how your nervous system feels like. How is your mind? Is it quiet? Is it racing? Is it calm? Just a little mental snapshot of what's happening. So again, I'm going to guide this, but after a natural exhale, you're going to pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5 seconds. Then you're going to let go and breathe naturally through your nose for about 10 seconds-ish, approximately. And when you find yourself around that time, again, at a natural exhale, you're going to pinch your nose. And we're just going to do that. And let me start the timer. So there we go. All right. So breathe in and out naturally. And pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe naturally through your nose, gently and calmly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Natural exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go and breathe gently through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And, at the natural exhale, soon again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then breathing in through, in and out through your nose. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And at your next natural exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go and calmly breathe through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And at your next natural exhale, you're going to pinch your nose, hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just one more minute of this and let go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On a natural exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go. Breathing in and out naturally. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just one more on a natural exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let go. And just breathe naturally. And just notice, you can even close your eyes for a second there and see how you're feeling. When I first started doing this, I almost felt a little lightheaded, and that was not because I wasn't getting enough air. It's because the ratio of CO2 and oxygen was adjusting and such. So that's possible, or you might feel calmer. Nancy says she's definitely feeling lightheaded. That's totally normal, just so you know. It's working. And you don't have to get lightheaded in order for it to work, but I'm just letting you know that that's one of the signs. And Robin says feeling more relaxed. Steve, calm and relaxed. Let me see. I think there was a question. Robin said if you yawned when I was done, that just means your nervous system is relaxing. That's one of the ways that the body lets go of stress. So it just means that you're downshifting. And then let's see, there is a question from Nate about the urge to breathe. It seems like there is a distinction between a slight urge and a more significant urge that still isn't a true air hunger. The way to know, because it's hard, I don't live in your body and it's also subjective, Nate, is it's more about when you breathe again, was it very easy and very calm, or you're grasping for air a little bit? If you're grasping for air, then you held too long. I hope that helps. When I do this with people privately, kind of like I did with a couple of you here directly, I am the one watching your breathing, and I can tell, regardless of how you perceive the air hunger, I can tell if you held it too long. Sometimes we do the test a little bit differently if we are unsure and the mind is like too powerful. Once, let's say we get 11 seconds and we're not sure about it. I do the opposite, or like 12 seconds. I do the opposite. I tell you, pinch your nose, hold your breath, and I'll keep the timer and I'll let you know when to let go. So usually what I do, I go a couple of seconds above that and see if your body is like needing more air. So there are a few different ways to kind of gauge that. I hope that's helpful. All right, let me look at the comments here. Carolyn says towards the end, I needed a deeper inhale to get my breath. So yeah, so that the air hunger that we created, it was almost not too much, but definitely your body was feeling it. So sometimes what we do, if that happens, we shorten the 5 seconds to like 3-4 seconds until your body adjusts more. We want to try to avoid the deeper inhale as much as possible. It's not bad, but it's not conducive to balancing the CO2 oxygen issue and with the chemoreceptors. Feeling calmer, relaxed, tension out of the stomach. Francis says that's great. Okay, thank you for putting that in the chat. So So yeah, this is what happens when we start retraining the chemoreceptors. Even just a few minutes of this practice, usually we do it for 10 minutes twice a day to begin with, your body gets the message like slightly higher CO2 is safe and I can calm down. And if you feel a little calmer and a little drowsy or even lightheaded, this is a good sign. This is your nervous system just downshifting from sympathetic into the parasympathetic, from kind of stress mode into the rest mode. And that's what we want. And if you didn't feel a huge shift, that's okay. The practice was very short right now, and everyone's starting point, it's different. So now this exercise, the breathing recovery, or what we call many small breath holds, this is what we use when your controlled pauses. As I said, on the lower side, but really we use this one always as a beginning practice and such. This is kind of the foundation. This is where we always begin.